We're live. Yeah. Behind me is the Shimazu Driving Center in Shinagawa. And I finished the practical exam. That's the driving exam that you're required to take in order to get a license for Kirikai Gaimen, which is what I'm doing, a license exchange. Yeah. I failed. I failed. It was close though, you know. I'm gonna break down for you the process and let you know what happened. Those who are tuning in now, complete and utter failure. Now I wouldn't say utter failure. There are some good things that came out of it, and I'm gonna get into more details with it. This is the course, okay? Do you see what I'm holding up here? I went into Google Maps, Google Earth. I took a screenshot of the course, and then when you get in there, you know what course you're gonna get. They don't tell you in advance. There's a thing on the internet that says that if you get there early, you can walk the course. Wrong. You can't do that. So I got there really early and I wasn't able to walk the course, which was something that I really wanted to do. Too bad. So all I could do was get in and take my screenshot out, and then when I found out I had course A, there are 3 courses that you get to pick. I'm doing manual transmission. I took an app that I have on my iPhone, and I traced out the course, and I closed my eyes, and I kept doing it in my head until I could close my eyes and just trace it by memory. And that really helped a lot. Nobody else was doing this, and I could tell everybody was failing. I think out of, there must have been about 35 people in the room. I'd say, yeah, 20% passed. So 80% flunked. For the manual transmission, nobody passed, okay? Nobody passed in my group. Everybody flunked, and I was the closest of the group. People failed before they even started. The guy in front of me, all right, are you listening? The guy in front of me was so bad. I mean, it gave me sort of hope. I said, all right, he's gonna fail, so that'll make me look good, right? When you follow somebody who bombs. But if you follow someone who bombs, it also means that the audience is already kind of pissed off. So my instructor was not the happiest man in the world. No, he was not. He's a very strict guy. Nice guy, I'm sure, in his free time, away from his work, after a couple of drinks, maybe. But not in a car. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down for you in this live stream. My first attempt, what I learned, what I took away from this, what happened, and what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I came here, the exam, there's 2 sessions per day. The one that I reserved was at 12:50. The other one is in the morning. I think it's around 8:50. And I came at 11:45, okay? I was the first one there. Nobody else was in the room. I checked in. They told me to go to room number 2, and I waited. And it's the same room. Everybody is a foreigner in the room. So there were no other Americans, no other North Americans, no one guy who could have been European or North American, but everybody else was from China. I know because they were all speaking to one another, and I was looking at them going, all right, so this is the room. So finally it's 12:50 and the exam's ready to start, and I'm sitting there in the front row because each row is separated. There's manual transmission in the front, which was green colored, and then red color was automatic transmission. There was row 1 and row 2. And there are 6 each, so that means there's about 20 people in the room. Yeah, and they started the exam. The head instructor started by saying that he apologizes for those who are taking it for the second time because the rules haven't changed, and he goes over everything again. And for the first timers, please pay attention. He goes through all the rules. It's actually quite useful. I found though on the course there's no railroad tracks, which was odd because I'd studied that, and no slope to practice on. So you have to do the emergency brake and then show that you can continue on a slope without falling back. That wasn't on the test either. It was just the basics, which is, you know, that's actually a pretty good thing. Makes it simpler, or it makes it that you are actually more focused on the basics, meaning you have to do your anzen kakunin, like your safety checks. You have to practice that. You really have to have that down. I did. I'll tell you what the problem was in a second, okay? So in each group, there were 6 people. So I had to reserve the test over a month in advance, okay? Tokyo's a very crowded place. So each session, I guess there's only a limited number of people, like 18, I think. So there were 6 in each row, 6 in each group. And I was, sorry, 7. Okay, 7. I was number 6, which is not a bad thing, but it also means that you have to wait around. It means you have to wait around. So while 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are going, I'm sort of waiting there. When they call my number 6, I go and I walk onto the course, onto the side there, and I wait at the number where the car has pulled in to stop. That driver, there's a driver, thank you, Juju. There's a passenger who's number 5, and number 4 was driving. So number 4 gets out, he gets his failure slip. You can see because the pink one is pass and the yellow one, the yellow one is fail and the pink one's pass. I forget. What color did I have? I think well, I failed, doesn't matter what color it is. So he got his failure slip. He walked out with his tail between his legs. The guy in the back seat, he goes into the front, and I sort of talked to him before. He didn't look like the brightest light bulb in the brightest light bulb on the street. He's kind of dim, a little bit dim. Dame. ダメ? すごい近かったよ、本当に。誰が？私もぶつかまってないけど、道がだけ一つ間違えるだけ。あとは線が何個ぐらいあるでしょ。そう、コースを今度覚えるでしょ。He didn't make it either. Well, join the club. So as I was going back, so the guy in the back seat, he actually made a mistake with the course. I guess he didn't study the course enough. So this is the thing. This is why you need to practice and do this in advance, because if you don't know the course, then you're gonna fail. It seems like everybody did something that was a no-brainer and failed. Everybody who failed did it because there was a no-brainer. Everybody who passed had gone to school and studied the course and the process. All right, this is the first thing you need to know. All right, back to the course. Now I'm on the runway, the tarmac. Okay, I have to get into the passenger seat, and number 5 is driving now. This guy, from the start, you knew he was in trouble. He didn't do any of the steps that you needed to get into the car, which is open the door, sit down, close the door, lock the door. Okay, handbrake check. Okay, it's up. All right, you following this? This is how strict it is. Okay, handbrake check. What's next? Okay, it's in reverse. So you put it into neutral. Put it into neutral. You put your foot on the brake and then onto the clutch, and then turn on the engine. Push the handbrake down and push it into first gear. Signal to the right, and then do a safety check to make sure that the road is clear. Like, I have this sort of like burned into my mind, okay? So he said, okay, let's go. And I could tell he was angry from the last guy. All right, this guy was angry from the last guy. I'm already at the station. This is Samezu Station, okay? Samezu Station is where you come for most people in Tokyo. There's also another course out in the countryside, but for majority of the people, they come here. It's a brand new center. It's very clean and institutional looking. Okay, let's leave it there. So, all right, this guy, number 5, let's call him number 5, okay? Awful driver. From the start, he didn't know when to shift, and he didn't know when to speed up. He didn't know how to brake. How do you know not how to brake? He held the wheels like instead of 10 and 2, like everybody would in any test that you would take seriously. He held the wheels like at at 5 and 7. How are you driving like this? Okay, that's like guaranteed fail right there. The funny thing is that the instructor, he just kept letting him go on. This guy failed in the first 10 seconds because he didn't even start it right. I'm just looking, I'm biting my lip and trying not to laugh because we have to stay humble, right? Because I'm gonna be in that same situation as him the next turn, but I'm biting my lip and praying for the poor guy. Yeah, he failed in the first 10-15 seconds. It was over. You start off and there's a straightaway, and you have to pick up some speed here and get up to about 50 kilometers an hour and then pump the brakes and show that you have control of the car and make the turn around. He couldn't do that, so he came around, he came in and he took his beatings like a man, and that was it. Okay, so he pulls in wrong, of course, didn't even signal or do anything. He knew he was gone. The guy tells me to come around. Okay, I do that, and then you don't know when to start. The first thing you're supposed to do is go around the car and do a check of the car, but you don't know when the exam actually starts. But I did that anyways. I went to the front. I didn't follow. He said, please step into the car. But before I did that, I did the check in the back and the check in the front and check in the back, and then I went into the driver's seat and I did what I told you have to do first. Close the door, lock the door. I adjusted the seat, but the guy put it back way back, so I adjusted the mirror, then I had to adjust the seat again and then adjust the mirror again because the length was weird. This is a car that I'd never driven before too, and this is why I failed. And then yeah, I did that whole step and then I signaled and I went out. Okay, everything's good, I'm in first gear, I'm going around the curve and I'm about to accelerate, and this gear shift is so like, it's like weird. It's like it was set up to like make you fail. All right, so I shift into second, and okay, we're going pretty good. And the guy said, you know, be real kind. He's telling me like you're such, because like I was doing it too strong, shifting into the gear, because the car that I practiced on at the driving center was really like, you had to shift that mother, okay? You had to really shift it. And this car, okay, it was like buttery smooth, and I didn't know if I was in or not. All right, I don't know if you've driven a stick shift, but I don't know if I'm in gear or not in gear. And then I shifted into second, and I shifted into third, and I'm about to accelerate, except I accidentally shifted into fifth. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, wait, don't panic, it's not over. All right, and I shifted back into third, and then I braked, and then I knew I probably lost points from that, but I went around this bend slow. There was a crosswalk, a pedestrian crossing. The guy before me didn't even slow down. I was biting my lip there, but I slowed down and I looked left and right to make sure no kids were crossing or no one was gonna be there, and then I sped up again. Another straightaway, I tried to hit it again, and then I had trouble finding the second gear. I pulled it down, and I didn't know if I was in or not, and I didn't feel like I was in. And that was my biggest problem. I couldn't feel it out. I didn't get any time to feel the gear shift. So now that I know what I'm up against, I'm gonna be able to do a better job of it. But but the exam wasn't over. It still continued. Okay. So yeah, this is a manual transmission that I'm trying to get the license for. All right. So I go around the bend, and I've already memorized the course in my mind. He doesn't have to tell me where to go. I already know, which makes it easy because instead of listening to him, I'm already focusing on the signals and when to signal far in advance. Okay. So I signal, I turn, I go in there, and then we start the S curve. And the S curve is this. Perfect job, no problem whatsoever. The curbs are like this high. The ones I practiced on at the driving center was like I don't know, like 8 centimeters off. So if you hit the curb, all right, you stop almost. You know, you pretty much stop, okay? You know you hit a curb. These curbs are so thin. If you hit the curb, you're going over it, and that's it. It's like you're set up to fail, okay, in a way. So the curves are really short, okay? So it's easy to drive over them. So if you hit it, you don't even know if you hit it until you're already over it. So that's something that you should keep in mind, because the number 5, he was over it. You know what? When he went into the next one, which is called the crank, it sounds like the clank, the way that the Japanese instructor says it, the crank. It's 90-degree turns, okay? And the number 5, he just did like, he just went straight over the curbs, and like that's an instant fail. You know it was over. Yeah, I got in there and I did the crank just real slow in first gear. You get around there, boom. Okay, turn right, turn left. Sorry, turn right, turn right. Okay, I'm good. Another time, this is where I failed. This is also a place where I can speed up and show my control of the car. I wanted to get into third gear and get about 50 kilometers an hour, and I think he was waiting for me to do that to prove that I could do that because I didn't quite get it the first time, okay? I missed the clutch. I missed the gear again. I couldn't feel third gear, and I went into fifth again. And I didn't panic. I kind of smiled and waved it off, but I knew it was pretty much over. I shifted back in a second and went around, looked left and right of the pedestrians. You got to finish with grace. And then instead of taking a right, he told me to go straight, and then I knew that it was over. I didn't know for sure, but yeah, you knew it was over. And because that's where the number 5, that's where number 5 was told to go back as well. No, ordinarily, I would cut through the intersection, which is in the middle. Let me pull out the course again. You know what? It's not. Here's the course. Now you can see what I'm talking about, right? So instead of cutting through the middle again through the intersection, I just went back to the point of origin, which is right here on the top. We start here, and I finished there, and that's what happened. He came. He didn't even explain what I did wrong. He just kind of said, "Yeah, you had problems with the straightaway," and I said, "Yeah, I admit it. I did." Everything else seemed okay because they didn't mention it, and then that was it. So I only needed to go. I just needed to go a little bit more. The hard parts were all done. So yeah, I failed the first attempt of the Japanese license. Not badly though. It was close. It was close. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that the car that you practice on, or the car that you've driven, or the car that you know well, is probably not going to be the same feel as the car. You know, it's like cheating. It's like you're cheating on your wife or your girlfriend with another car. It just feels different. And this one was awful. So I'm not, you know, and this is supposed to be the car that all the taxi drivers use. So, I don't know, maybe I should ask a taxi cab driver if I can borrow his car to practice for a little bit. Okay, so now I failed the test and I'm walking out, and you have to make an appointment for the next one. You have a card. Do I have the card on me? Yeah, here it is. This is a card. I don't want to show you the number. Looks like this. Here it is. So I got this card. This card has your reservation information on it, and you need your foreigner, your address, your registration card. So I gave him the card, and I looked on the registration screen, and the next available date, today is November 7th, right? The next available time to take the test is December 14th. That was the first. There's nothing in the rest of November. If I was in another prefecture in the countryside, I'd probably be able to take this the day after tomorrow. Not in Tokyo. 5 weeks later. So all the practice that I did at that driving school, I've got to redo it again, or at least keep my skills sharp enough to take this test again. So yeah, that's what happened. There's no real good map of the course here in Shinagawa. For anyone watching this as a reference, the best thing for you to do, there's 3 courses, okay? A, B, and C. And if you go into Google Maps, thank you very much for the super chats. I might be using that to go out and get like a really big bowl of ramen right now. Man. So I went into Google Earth, or Google Chats, and I did a screenshot of the course from space. This is the best map that you can possibly get. There's nothing else. They give you these really small, before, it looks like something even before the copy machine came out, like mimeographs. Do you remember that? If you were born in the 1970s, you probably had the mimeographs before the copy machines. They would go like this. It was so hard to read it. It was definitely not high definition. It's probably like even worse than 480p. It's like 180p. The quality of the paper was so I'm squinting just to see, trace the course of what course A has. I had this map, so once I'd memorized where the arrows were going on that map, I traced it on this map. Okay? This is the best thing that you can do. It ended up being like this. So I knew where all the turns were, and I was ready mentally to do it. And because I was 6th, I had about, the test officially starts at 12:50. They do an introduction and confirm all your paperwork, so that takes you about 20 minutes. So it's 1:10, and then they're starting the test around 1:15. I had to sit there until about almost 2 o'clock. So it's about 30 minutes. Yeah, by the time they started the test, it took me about 35 minutes before I walked onto the platform. In that dead time, I'm listening to a lot of people speaking Chinese. I might have picked up a few words, I don't know. They didn't seem too worried. They should have been, because they failed miserably, all of them. I think 2 passed out of the group of like 15. But they didn't look like they were worried at all, but they should have been. I looked like I was worried because I kept walking out, stretching, keeping my body as relaxed as much as possible, clearing my mind, trying to take all the images I'd been processing on that map I showed you, and closing my mind and trying to imagine myself making the turns and doing the signals and doing all the safety checks. What can I do now? So there's a couple of driving schools. Another one is called Kiki Driving School. This one I highly recommend. The one that I took in Musashi Sakai, that's on the Chuo line near Kichijoji from Shinjuku. Go towards Kichijoji, and it's a couple stops after Kichijoji, Musashi Sakai. They're pretty good. It's Ichiman Gosei yen, about $150 to enter into the school, and 5,000 yen per lesson. I might take one more just as a refresher. And then there's this Kiki Driving School, which I highly recommend, because you know where they do their practice runs? On that course that I was just on. So I'm gonna give them a call, but they only do it, I think, once a month. So the classes might even be full, or I might not be able to get on. It's worth the extra money to practice on the course, because it's like visiting an old friend when you go there and to take the test. I want to go visit my old friend again. I don't want that instructor again, unless he remembers that I did a pretty good job that first time. I was close, you know. I'm proud of. I wanted to walk out with that license because I imagined myself reaching that goal and holding that license and doing a live stream, going, yeah! You know, but that's not the reality. In Japan, this examination is extremely strict. You have to know the laws very well. There's no way for you to practice unless you pay. It's pay to play. No learner's permit or anything like that. I'm going in there again next time, 5 weeks later, with I don't know, without having driven for 5 weeks, unless I go to a school and pay to have another lesson. So I'm gonna go onto the train platform at Samizu. There's really not that much here. When you come out of the station, it looks like a ghost town. Everybody who's walking this way, 95% of them are going towards the driving school. And a lot of the businesses, there's little side businesses that do schools and stuff like this. I guess if you fail, they become predators. They prey on you after you fail. So I'm gonna call Kiki Driving School and see if they'll let me practice on this course. I'll put this on Instagram. How about that, okay? If you want to see more of my epic fail. You're not allowed to eat in the room. You're not allowed to use your phone. You're supposed to be off. You're not allowed to record anything. That's the reason why you didn't see me recording anything. Now I gotta make the long trip home. Go onto the train. I have a iCoca card. So now I have to make this long trip home. I don't feel that bad. Even, you know, I'm always gonna be pretty happy. It's not a big deal to fail. The experience was good because I know exactly what I have to do. And if anything, as a result of this, I'm gonna be a better driver on a course. I'm gonna be the best course driver possible. There's the train to Shinagawa. This is a local stop, so you have to make a change trains at Shinagawa station, which is a headache, and find the local train, which is right here. Okay, so without further ado, thanks everybody for the support. I know a lot of people were cheering me on. I felt that energy, and that's probably the reason why I got as close as I did, maybe, because of you. So thanks again for everybody for supporting this first try. I'll be back on for the second try, and we're gonna get this thing done. Fortunately, I'm gonna need a driver for the Fukushima shoot, but hey, get to meet a new person, right? All right, see you everybody. I'm on my way back home. Without a license.